We never forget our first love, not because they were perfect, not because it lasted forever, but because it was the first time someone looked at us and we felt seen. Before that, love was a word, a concept, a story we watched in movies. And then suddenly, it had a face. It had a voice that could calm us down, a name that could change our entire mood, a notification that made our heart race for no reason at all. First love is strange. It makes you brave enough to confess feelings you don't even understand, and fragile enough to break over things you pretend don't matter. It's the first time you realize your chest can physically hurt because of someone else. And when it ends, it doesn't just take a person away, it takes a version of you. The version that believed love was simple, the version that thought forever meant something literal, the version that didn't know how much silence could echo. You don't miss them every day, but sometimes in the most random moments, a song, a smell, a place, a random 2 a.m. thought. You don't miss who they are now, you miss who you were then. And maybe that's why first love never really leaves. It just becomes a quiet room inside you that you visit when you're feeling nostalgic or lonely or wondering if you will ever feel that intensely again.
Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, I hope you got the title for today's video from the intro. And today's video is basically about first love. And this topic is here because I saw someone that I shouldn't have, and after that, I had a lot of breakdowns, a lot of crash outs, and most importantly, my brain was really flooded with memories of the past. So I thought, why not make something good out of it? Therefore, I'm presenting you with this video. So, the first opinion that I have, which I really stand by, is that we always remember our first love, not because they were the best love, but because they were the first. They basically mapped out our entire emotional world. And I will explain this to you very simply. So, there is a thing which is called neuroplasticity. And you guys must have heard a lot of parents and teachers talking about the fact that, you know what, you should have put this habit into your child since they were a kid. You should teach them good things till they're like 5 or 10 years old and whatever. So, that is basically neuroplasticity, which says that human brain is the most moldable during the initial years of their life. So I think there must have been a lot of things in our school that were very important, and they decided to teach us those things when we were little kids so that we would get them easily. So that's the whole concept. Now, there is a thing called the primary effect. So think of your brain like wet cement. And when you first time put feet on wet cement, it leaves a deep imprint. So that is what first love does to our brain. You know, when we feel that emotion for the very first time, we think that, oh my god, this is the best thing that has ever happened to me because we don't know anything else. And as we grow up, as the cement gets harder and harder, the imprints are not that deep. But that first imprint is always there in the cement. That first love is always somewhere in the brain. And it is also about the fact that when we experience love for the very first time, there are a lot of chemicals that our brain feels for the very first time. You know, a kid trying junk food for the first time thinks that, oh my god, this is the best thing in the world. I don't want anything else. Because they haven't tried anything else as tasty as the junk food is. So our brain gets a lot of these chemicals and mainly dopamine. And our brain thinks, you know what, this is what I want. This is the best thing that I've ever gotten, and this is what I want. That's why first love is like so important. And as we grow up, we keep falling in love. But the thing is that by that time, our brain is actually used to that feeling. It is not feeling that chemical reaction for the first time. It has already felt it before. So it's not that deep. Now I will take up the example of Benny and Conrad. So there is a series, The Summer I Turned Pretty. Even if you guys haven't watched it, it's fine. I will play it for you. So basically, there is a girl called Benny, and there are two brothers, Jeremiah and Conrad. Now, Conrad, which is the elder brother, is the first love of Benny. She has loved him since she was a little girl. But as she grew up and they dated, she realized that, you know what, Conrad is very unstable, he's very emotionally unavailable, he's very moody, and she couldn't keep up with all of that. So the little brother who was stable, who did not have as many mood swings, who was more fun, so which was Jeremiah. So Jeremiah and Billy started dating. And even when they dated for like so many years and they were even about to get married, Belly just could not get over Conrad because he was the first. So Belly was obviously in love with Conrad. There is no doubt about that. But she was also in love with that feeling of love that she had for the very first time. I don't feel this monstrous fire. Just wanna let this story die. And I'll be alright. We can't be friends. I don't have to just pretend. You cling to your papers and pens. Wait until you like me again. Wait for your love, my love. I'll wait for your love. We can't be friends, but I'd like to just pretend.
He got me the big unicorn, and he got me my mom, Taylor.
I should not have given you that gun.
It's just, it's just the wedding. It's all happening so fast, and I think I just need time to think.
Hey, this is Jeremiah we're talking about. Right? You've known him your entire life. This is your dream wedding.
No, it's not my dream wedding. I never even had a dream wedding. It wasn't like this. Not with the dresses and the flowers and I never pictured any of it. I only ever pictured Conrad. Fuck.
I'm so happy by the end of the series they do end up together. That series actually made a lot of us very mad, but I think it portrayed the feeling, the reactions, everything about first love really beautifully. Now I will shift my approach from romance to emotional safety because I understand that first love is not only about romance, and I also understand that not everyone, I think at this point, few people get a secure home and an emotional blanket and stable parents. Everyone has problems. So I would like to shift my approach to that point. There are two things that I'm going to explain you, which is the attachment theory and the secure base. So think that you are going through a storm, okay, a crazy, crazy storm on a rainy day, and something suddenly comes and holds an umbrella over you. Okay, so you not only remember the person who held the umbrella, but you also remember the instant relief that you felt. Also remember that feeling of suddenly being dry, suddenly having someone. What do you always remember that feeling? So when a person is going through a lot of things in their lives, maybe in their family, their schools, their workplace, anywhere, and they suddenly get that person to hold the umbrella over them, our mind actually starts relating that comfort to that person. Our first love becomes the symbol of the emotional safety that we felt for the very first time. Now, there is a thing which is called the secure base. According to the old theories, the secure base is supposed to be a person's parents. Because the parents are the first person that should provide them emotional safety. The child should feel emotional safety from their parents first hand. They should be the first one to provide it. But a lot of us don't get it from our parents. We don't get it at home. So the first person who provides us that emotional safety is our first love. It can either be the fact that they were providing us emotional safety, therefore we fell in love with them, or it can also be the fact that we fell in love with them and they then started providing us emotional safety in any ways We were not getting it at home and they were giving it to us. So instead of our parents, our first love becomes a secure base. Okay, so it is first love is not only about the romance, it is also about emotional safety a lot. I think they provide us emotional safety when we cannot even provide it to ourselves. I think by the time you reach a second love or third love, like I did, so by that time you are your own person. I'm at the point that I can provide myself emotional safety, but when you get it from your first love at that time, I don't think you are even capable enough to provide it to yourself. And that's what makes them so important. There is this very beautiful novel written by Colin Hoover. It ends with us. There is also a movie made on it. Even if you guys haven't read it or seen the movie, I will explain it to you. So there is a girl Lily, and her father is really abusive. He hits her mother. He does not feel emotional safety at home. Then there comes a boy Atlas, who is a homeless guy who lives in a shelter just beside her house, and suddenly, they become friends. And through Atlas, it's the first time that she feels emotionally safe. So Atlas becomes her secure base, and she starts associating that feeling of safety with Atlas. Atlas becomes a symbol of safety for her. Basically, some incident happens and they drift apart, and she is about to marry a great guy, but then she meets Atlas again. And the thing is that although she had moved on from Atlas by then, not properly, but still she was married to another guy. Whenever she felt danger, her first thought was of Atlas. Her brain naturally started associating safety with Atlas because her parents couldn't give it to her, so her first thought was Atlas. So even when she married the guy and he hit her, the first person she thought of calling was Atlas because that he was her secure base. And as a child, she felt emotionally safe with him for the first time. That's a heavy thing. That's a one, and I think it's with all of us. We fall in love with our first love because they provide us with emotional safety. I'm really happy for when your secure base are your parents. But for a lot of people, it becomes their first love, and that is why it's so hard to move along and forget them. Also, there is a thing which is called the Zeigarnik effect. So basically, as a human, our brain basically hates any unresolved business. So it's like think of your brain like a computer. Once you complete school or once you graduate, that thing is complete. Your brain closes that tab, that you know what it's finished. But the reason our first love ends is rarely mature. It rarely happens that you both sit down and think that, what, we are not compatible anymore. No, that rarely happens. It generally happens because of one silly fight or because they moved away, something silly like that. So therefore, your brain keeps them open like a tab. That what, it's unresolved. It cannot, it did not finish. It's an unfinished business. Therefore, they are present in your brain at all times, like a tab that is open in a computer. Now, there is a really beautiful philosophy by Plato, and he basically talks about the ladder of love. He says that as humans, we are made to love something. We are supposed to love beauty and wisdom. But we cannot straight up go to loving beauty and wisdom. We cannot straight up reach the ultimate goal. So it's like a ladder. And he says that the first step is mostly the person's first love. You fall in love with that person's laugh, or you fall in love with their hair, or their face, or their body. Okay, so that's when you basically get acquainted with the concept of loving someone, with the concept of beauty. So they are the first step in the ladder. And as we go to the second step, we realize that this person is not the only one who has beauty. There are other people as well. And then we keep climbing the ladder one by one, climbing from the physical traits to the inner beauty. Maybe if the first step is loving the outer beauty, second step would be to start loving the inner beauty of a person. But the point is that our first love makes us acquainted. They introduce us to this concept of loving someone's beauty or with the concept of beauty. Therefore, they play a very important role because they are the foundation. And Plato also argues that a person can never forget their first love. Because since it's a ladder, if you remove the first step, the foundation is gone. How are you going to reach the second step when there is no foundation? So therefore, Plato says that first love is really important in a person's life and they never forget it because it's the foundation which introduces them to love and to beauty. Lastly, I just want to end with a beautiful quote that says, "It's better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all." And I think that so beautifully defines the first love. And I think every one of us needs the first love to understand our own capacity to care. You know, that's the first time we realize what we are capable of. That's the first time we realize that we are capable to love someone other than us and our family. And I think it's also so beautiful because first love makes us learn so much about ourselves. I think first love is not even about love that much as it is about finding yourself. The first love comes into our life not to give us what we deserve, but to give us what we need. So that later on, first we fulfill our own needs by ourselves, we become self sufficient, and then we go ahead and look for what we deserve. Also, if your first love gets completed, I'm so happy for you. You're one of the lucky ones. So yeah, this is it for the video. I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.